Hi, Tricia Morris here at Club Scrap. This is the French Quarter page kit. This was a special release from Club Scrap, so it wasn't something that was shipped to our entire membership because it has a little bit more of a narrow scope in its theme, as you can see by its title, French Quarter. This is going to be perfect for any kind of celebration, any trip overseas, maybe to Paris or possibly into New Orleans. I loved my time visiting the French Quarter, and I think this collection really encapsulates everything that I saw there and remember about that great town. So I've got my instructions printed here, my accordion pocket file. This thing is awesome for keeping us organized while we work. We'll be trimming all of the papers required for 8 layouts all at once. So each layout pairing has a compartment in my accordion pocket file, which is then placed under my trimmer here, and it stands upright, making great use of my vertical space. If you need help finding a way to make one of these for yourself, just reach out to us at Club Scrap. We'll give you a hand. And then, of course, in your kit, you'll have a bunch of ribbon. We're going to set that aside, as well as the embellishments. There's a nice little pile of really nice bright gold matching embellishments. And then we have a sheet of these Dazzle stickers. Now, at face value, they really don't look all that spectacular, but I just have to show you. I peeled away the backing when I was working with my layouts, and you can see all of the wonderful detail that is on these stickers, actually, that is revealed once it's removed from the sheet. In fact, all of these little bits that are left behind, those all come out when you pull away these pieces. So just be mindful of that. This is a really cool set of stickers. You're gonna love using those. Typically, I like to sort the paper before I trim it because that prevents me from making errors in my trimming, like, for example, cutting 2 pieces of paper at the same time. We want to avoid that. So to do that, we'll just sort all the papers first. Now, I want you to find one of the prints. We're calling this the street print. And take just that one sheet and put it face down on your work surface. The rest of the pieces I like to keep upright in the crook of my arm while I search for them. Kind of like when I was young and I was at our record store. Okay, so then we have the map print. We're gonna take one of those and put that face down next. And we'll follow that with the single sheet of gold metallic. This is a text weight paper. There's only one sheet of that in your kit. It's very, very beautiful. Next, find a sheet of green plain, followed by one sheet of the black. Now the black is really super heavy. It has a gorgeous linen-like texture, and just make sure you have one piece of it. I'll put that texture side down as well. And now I want you to find 2 golds, 2 gold planes. So we have the gold metallic, and then we have this flavor of gold. It's just really a nice bright yellow. Finally, we'll find one sheet of purple, and then we will trim some Cutaparts. We've got a lot of really cool border strips featured on this sheet. We want this one that has all the brighter borders on it, but it's all borders with a couple of smaller images on one edge. And then this other piece here, enjoy moments before it become memories. We try to keep the quotes really broad on this so that you wouldn't be like rabbit holed into just working with like New Orleans, and kept it quite broad, which I love. So that's the next sheet. And I placed that face down. Now we want to follow that with the 2 remaining green planes, the 2 remaining purple. And now these solids, you know, the color's the same on both sides, so you don't have to worry about putting it face down. And then look for the other map print. I will put that face down. The remaining gold, the remaining black, and lastly, the street print face down. Flip everything back over where we started with yet another street print. It's kind of funny how we started and ended with the same print. And we are going to do some trimming. So I'm going back to page 1 of my instructions, and we're going to place this print right side up into the trimmer. We'll cut it at 6 3/4, and I feel I always need to quick cover the basics of this amazing trimmer. It's a very reasonably priced trimmer, a necessary tool to your success. Lift the blade all the way up and place the paper in at 6 3/4. Now to find that, I usually look for the whole number, and every column here represents a 1/4 inch. So that's 6, 6 1/4, 6 1/2, and then 6 3/4. Make sure you go to the left when you increase. I have students who sometimes go the wrong direction and end up cutting it at 5 1/4 instead. So 6 3/4. Make sure your paper is level up at the top. Stabilize on that clear bar firmly. Bring that blade down. And basically what I was looking for was to separate the two signs and split them over the course of 2 layouts, and those happen to be layouts 5 and 6. So I'll take both pieces, and when I add these to my pocket, I'm going to do it at an angle so that they're sort of sticking out this end. And here I can still see my layout numbers all across the left. The width of the pocket is only 12 inches, so you never want to try to jam something down fully into the pocket. Next, we'll take this map print. We want the words New Orleans in the lower right corner, so to me that would make this right side up, and we'll trim this at 7 inches. Now, don't remove this piece. I just want you to rotate it, and I'm going counterclockwise so that the larger green part's on the left. Gold mappy area is on the right, and I'm going to cut again at 7 inches. Notice I'm stabilizing. And both of these pieces will go in pockets 7 and 8. Then I'm going to grab the other strip. We've got the words New Orleans will be on the right, and we're going to cut creatively. This is the 3rd time now at 7 inches. So here we go. These 2 pieces also pocket D. And we are moving on now to the 3rd sheet we need to trim, which is the gold metallic. And I'm telling you, you are in for a treat. It's nice and easy. We'll cut at 6 inches even. Nice, easy. Make sure you stabilize. Now, stack up the 2 pieces you just created that are the same, or very, very close to the same, and we'll trim at the same time now. We'll trim at 8. And then slide down to 4. So you basically just trimmed that 12 by 12 into 6 equally sized rectangles. Take 2 of them, and they're going to go in pocket 3 and 4. Take 1, goes in 7 and 8, and the final 3 go in 5 and 6. Pocket 5 and 6. Now, if you didn't have the accordion pocket file, I hope you're not letting that stop you from making your pages. Just put everything in 4 piles, but you just have to use more horizontal space, which a lot of us lack. Okay, for the next green sheet, we will trim it at 6 1/4. We're going to do this quite a bit, this style of trimming where we start at 6 1/4, then rotate and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. That's also very typical. We're going to create a bunch of photo mats here. These are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and our photos typically are 4 by 6. So it's a perfect mathematical solution. Let's file these 2 pieces the same, going in 3 and 4. And then we have this narrow strip sort of left over. We're going to cut that horizontally at 6 and 3. And that gives me a spot for 2 photos, or if you can also still stretch a longer photo across them, and that goes in pocket 5 and 6. There is a tiny little piece that won't be used, so we don't worry about that. And now the remaining strip, we're going to cut into a series of rectangles here. Let's start at 11 1/4. This is a really small piece. Then 7 1/2 and 3 3/4. Notice that when the paper lands to the right of the blade, I don't move it until I'm done with that strip, and I direct you to pick it up. That way I know what's where. And you'll see more as we work together why that is. So you made 3 rectangles of the same, pocket 3 and 4 again, and we have this narrow strip. We'll add that to pocket 5 and 6. For the black paper, make sure you just have the 1 sheet. We're going to make a bunch of cuts to make tiny pieces, a series of what I call paper ribbons that are only 1/4 of an inch thick. So I'm going to start out at 11 3/4. So that's the last column before you see the 12. Now just let that paper lay where it landed, and we'll go to 11 1/2. So 1 column to the right. And then we're going to go to 11 1/4. Creatively, we're going to go to 11. How about 10 3/4? Okay, this is the last one at that increment, then 10 1/2. And finally, down to 6 1/4. Remember I said we'd be doing a lot of that. Let's rotate the 6 1/4. We'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. These 2 pieces are the same and belong in pocket 5 and 6. And now the rectangle here will cut again the same way as we did before. Cut at 6 and 3. Gives me 2 little accent photo spots for my layout, 7 and 8. 7 and 8. And you did create a tiny little scrap. We'll set that aside. The next remaining strip here will cut at 6 1/4. Both of the pieces, even though they're not the same, they won't be the same. They go in 5 and 6. And let's grab all of those little strips now, picking everything up. 2 of the strips, place them in pocket 3 and 4. And the other 4 are used in layouts 7 and 8. And we've arrived at the gold. Now, I picked up 2 sheets. I don't want you to do that. I want you to only pick up 1. Make sure you have 1. And let's cut at 11 1/2. Then 10 1/2. And believe it or not, we're going to cut at 6 1/4 again. We're also going to rotate again and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Gather up the 2 mats that are the same, pocket 7 and 8. And guess what? We're going to trim that rectangle at 6 and 3. These 2 pieces will go in 1 and 2. Of course, there is the tiny little scrap. Sometimes in a class, I joke that we're going to trim it and people put it in the trimmer. And when I tell them I'm just kidding, there's like this big sigh of relief, right? Okay, this strip will trim at 10 1/2 and 6 1/4. The larger piece and the square, that goes in 7 and 8. There is this narrow guy, and I actually didn't use him, so my apologies. Then we have some strips. The wide of the 2 goes in 3 and 4. The other, 1 and 2. Okay, moving on to the next sheet of gold. We're going to make a little strip, so we'll cut at 11 3/4, and then 10 1/2. Oh, 6 1/4. Tricia was feeling very creative when she made these pages. Rotate and trim at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. You will have 2 pieces that are the same going in pocket 1 and 2. And then the rectangle will cut at 6 and 3. The 2 matching rectangles, pocket 1 and 2. And yet another sad, sad little scrap. All right, we have this wide strip. This time we're going to cut it at 10 1/4 and 6 1/4. This goes in pocket 7 and 8. And this one, this is not quite square. That's going in pocket 3 and 4. And this strip is used in layout 5 and 6. Then you have the wide strip 1 and 2, and you have the skinny strip at 5 and 6. I could have mentioned this earlier, but if I'm going too fast for you, which if you're new, I'm going to be going way too fast, just use the settings on your YouTube channel to slow me down to like 0.75, and it really will slow me down. One day with lots of practice, you'll be waiting for me. So just be mindful of that, be patient with yourself, and you will get this. All right, let's cut this one. Again, we're going to make a little strip. So we'll begin at 11 3/4 on the purple. And then 10 1/2. 9 1/4. So be careful, make sure you go up to 9 1/4. Then 7 1/2. Lots of trimming here, and stack, let those pieces stack up. And then 4 1/4. Take this piece and rotate, cut it 9 1/4. Place this in pocket 3 and 4, that large 9-inch piece, and then grab the little rectangle that fell off the end. Let's cut that at 4 and 2. Even for these small pieces, I like to stabilize, always stabilize on every cut, even if it's just with my index finger. The 2 little rectangles that go in 7 and 8, and then another sad little scrap. Okay, here on this strip, and this, in case you lost track, this is 3 1/4 by 12. We'll cut at 10, 7.5, 5, 2.5. Let's just gather up all these little pieces. Now there's going to be one that landed first, one that's a lot shorter. Set him on your trimmer base for now, and let's get these filed. So the first rectangle here, 1 and 2, put 1 in 3 and 4. The next one in 5 and 6. I should have just said 1 in each pocket. Then this one in 7 and 8. So 1 in each pocket. Now this little rectangle, I need you to trim it at 2 3/4. Kind of an awkward little trim, but it's okay. We'll put this in 7 and 8. And take this little guy and put him with his other friends, the scrappy boys. Okay, this next strip, and for what it's worth, this is 1 3/4 by 12 right now. We'll trim at 10 and 5. The 2 long strips, pocket 1 and 2. And this little rectangle, I'll put it in 7 and 8 again. You're gonna love how it all fits at the end. It's so cool. Okay, now we have 2 strips that are the same, 3 and 4. And this really little guy, I put him in 1 and 2. Here we've arrived at our sheet of Cutaparts, and we do have to remove the outer perimeter. The reason why I trim these a little bit larger is because there is some slippage that can occur in the large scale manufacturing process during that final trim down. And the slippage is just enough to be really annoying and sometimes just not as accurate as I'd like it to be. So I've added the perfectly placed little hash mark here. So what I'm going to try to do is line that up with the blade on my trimmer. I can see right where this blade comes down, and there's this metal piece right in here. So I'm going to try to line that up. And you know, sometimes I just do it a little shy of the line and I come through and neaten it up on my last rotation. Then all I did was rotate. And now I can see much better both at the top and the bottom to remove that little guide mark. It's very pale, but it's okay. We don't want you to be able to see it later, right? The goal here is to end up at 12 inches. And if I look left, I can match this up with 12 and just slice that right on up, and I can make my last little tidy up cut here, and I'm going to do one in this direction as well. And that's one of the features that I like most about the trimmer, is that I am capable of literally shaving a hair off the edge of these pieces. With those out of the way, let's place this back in the trimmer with Enjoy the Now in the upper right corner, and I'll give you your numbers. The first one is 10.5, stabilize, 9, 8 1/4. It's going to put you right between those strips. Then 7.5, 5.5, 3.5. Okay, so let's file these strips. Now what I like to do is, let's take this first one, we'll put it in pockets 7 and 8, and then just take the whole entire rest of the stack, trying to keep it in the order it landed, because it's easier to pick stuff up out of your hand than it is to get it off the table. So the next 2 decorative strips here, those go in pocket 5 and 6, the matching wide strips. Then we have the matching skinny ones, 3 and 4. Then we have this sort of lonely one here. He's very unique to itself, 1 and 2. This last strip we need to trim. So make sure the words C'est la vie are on the far right. And we will cut this at 11 1/4, 9.5, and 4 3/4. These 2 pieces that match, pocket 1 and 2. And then you have this little quote, understand different cultures, etc., 7 and 8. And then you have the C'est la vie, 1 and 2. If you want to put me on pause, right now I am going to remove the outer perimeter of the second sheet of Cutaparts. It's my least favorite task, but it's just one that we're going to do so we can set ourselves up on the right foot. Place it back into the trimmer so the words enjoy moments are on the right. And this time we will trim at 11, 10, 9, 6 3/4 and 4. Rotate. We'll cut at 10 1/2 and 6. Now we'll file this larger piece in pocket 7 and 8. The poetry quote 3 and 4. And the life is beautiful in French 5 and 6. Now this next section, place the larger piece on your left and we'll cut that one at 10. This large element goes in pocket 1 and 2, and the smaller one 3 and 4. Here we have a series of journaling prompts. Let's begin at 9, 6, 3. Now in the order they came out, we've got the more green tone vertical 7 and 8. The next one is also vertical 5 and 6. This one is horizontal, in other words, the lines are running this way, 1 and 2, and the last one in 3 and 4. Okay, then we have this strip. It doesn't have a mate that goes in 1 and 2, and the 2 matching pieces that remain, pocket 3 and 4. That's the end of our trimming phase. I will lock my blade of the trimmer, then support this with my left hand while I remove the trimmer because the trimmer holds it upright, and set that trimmer out of the way. Next, turn to the back page of your instructions, and we're going to use this for a visual reference. So we're on page 5, and then here you can see layouts 7 and 8 are listed, and we're going to just find all the pieces and recreate this. And the cool part about the method is that everything that you need to finish the page should be ready to go for you. We will dry fit, not actually adhere anything during this phase. Now, take the entire remaining stack of paper. The top sheet goes to the right, and the rest of the stack goes left, and you can place these pieces side by side in front of you. Now, the next thing we need to do is go to our little handy pocket, and since we're starting from the back of the pile, we're starting at layout 8, we'll work our way up to layout 1 without adhesive. Then you'll go back without me and just stick everything down, add your photos, journaling, and you'll have those pages completed. So take everything out of this pocket. Make sure you don't leave any pieces behind. That can be very confusing. And I do, as I mentioned before, like to distribute the elements to the page from my hand rather than from the tabletop. I believe what I did here is I started with this square 7 by 7, and I placed it in the upper left corner flush with the edges. Then I found the square 5 by 5 and placed that in the lower right corner of the same page. I call this the 5-7 split. So what I'm doing is I just trimmed the paper at 7 inches in all directions. And now that gives me a way to split that paper up over the 2 pieces. Then you have the little Mississippi River area of this print. That's going to go again flush in the upper left. And then this will go vertically in the lower right. And now I've split up this piece into very pleasingly sized sections. Now every seam that we've just made can be covered with a little strip of this black. And what I typically do is put the seam cover right in the middle. So it covers half of the edge of this and half of the edge of this right in the middle. So I just run a glue line right along the seam as well. And then I just lay this down on top of it. Cool, right? It's like window panes in a way. And now we can start bringing in some of these other larger elements. This is the largest element, and that goes across the top here. Travel the world. And then we are going to add this large yellow, or gold rather, photo mat, followed by the metallic gold nestable, which kind of just, that would be where my feature photo would go. And then look how that other photo mat fits right there. We have another that will fit here and one right next to it. So yes, it crosses over the window pane. There should be one more gold that goes in the upper right corner, and that's going to fit in there beautifully. This sentiment nests on, and I want to say that if you have a lot of pictures for an event, just cover this with a photo. A photo should always come first. Beneath the Travel the World, I'll add the 2 accent photos in black. And Then we have a series of 3 smaller pieces. 1, 2, 3 that fit right in there. Now the remaining purple, one will fit with the journaling prompt and I can tuck that here, and the other will nest perfectly onto this tiny little quote and I can place that here. And my layout is every piece in that pocket has been accounted for. It's all placed correctly, or not correctly, just according to the image I've provided. That said, you want to do something different with this kit? By all means. All right, let's go over the final touches I've made. Now on these little purple panels, this is of course entirely optional. I turned them into tags by stacking them neatly together. I marked the center of the tag, and then I've used my slot punch to punch through all 3 layers at the same time. If you don't already have a slot punch, a lot of you have been picking these up from me. I use mine a lot, so I decided just to carry them. But that's what makes that work. You could have rounded the corners. I just didn't want to involve too many tools. I just wanted to keep this one nice and simple. And again, that's optional. Then I just threaded the ribbon through the hole at the top and then taped it to the back. Here, I used 2 pieces of ribbon and just hooked them together like a piece of chain, and secured the ends at the back as well. So I just trimmed 2 lengths, a little bit wider than the piece, folded in half, and then I linked them together. It's pretty slick. This one, you can see it's a little raised. I did add a little foam adhesive to that one. On the facing page, it's just all one-dimensional. Finally, the last thing I did was added the gold plate. Now this has a hollowed out back, quite hollowed, because there's quite a lot of dimension here. So I just took my needle tip glue applicator and applied the glue around the perimeter, and then any other raised, on this side, raised areas that would make contact with the paper. Once I did that and let it dry, this isn't going to go anywhere, not even if you wanted it to. So the bookbinding glue is what you will use to attach any metal embellishment to your paper base pages. Now I'm going to pick up just the green paper and slide it on top of the other green. Yes, all the pieces are going to move, but they'll be with their designated layout, and it makes it super easy to put the page together if you just consult your instruction document. Now I'm going to take everything out of the next pocket, which is 5 and 6. And once again, just make sure you vacate it entirely. There we go. I'd like to distribute from the palm of my hand when possible. And you might not feel comfortable with it. That's okay. I'm going to begin with this large portion, Orleans, and I'm going to let a little of the purple peek through on the right edge here. Then I'm going to add the other half kind of over here, but I did add the page title here, the title strip. We can't always choose the music. And right next door to it, I'm going to add a yellow piece for contrast, and then allow a little bit of the purple to be revealed in between this and this set of objects. It just kind of does a fake out a little bit. Now, this larger black mat will be horizontally placed here, and the gold should fit as a nestable right on top of that. We're going to repeat that on the right here, a vertical with a gold to nest. And then level with the bottom edge of this piece, I'm going to do the horizontal black. This one's a little shorter, but it's still, it works perfectly. Now, above this, let's see, I should probably I'll add my little border strip. That'll get that big piece out of my hands. It's going to be a piece of gold paper. It's kind of a weird size, but it's designed to nest with this guy. Boom. Then you should have a purple nestable for your journaling prompts. And this little piece here is designed to fit right behind it. And I took scissors and cut a little V into the paper, and it kind of makes it look like a piece of ribbon. The 2 remaining green go here. I've exhausted the contents of the pocket. Finishing touches. Now, with this strip, it's got a very wide strip, but we have this super cool ribbon in the collection. This is the metallic gold woven grosgrain. And so you'll run that across, tape it into the back. If you remember to apply the ribbon before you attach the border, then you'll have nothing on the back of your layout. I just put it behind the strip. Now I took another piece of the leftover ribbon, so do this last, and I made it the width of the black, right? And I cut a little V into each end If you don't have enough, just fake it, right? Get rid of the ribbon that would have been in the middle. This has been nested and attached with foam adhesive, made a really easy yet eye-catching embellishment. Now on the other side, did some other fun things. So before I attached this strip to the page, took my craft knife and I made a slot, the bottom edge and the top edge of the sentiment. You see the difference here? The ribbon's running through it, but it's running behind, over the border, but behind the quote. So I simply, after the slit was made, slid the ribbon behind it and then taped the end around to the back. So it's essentially the same thing I did in the other ribbon, but this time I had my little slot trick. You can see the V I've cut into the top and bottom of the scrap. Now I put a generous amount of the green at the top so that I could add my charm. Now the charm happened to have two eyes, two hanging loops. So I took a piece of black wax linen or black wax cord, whatever you prefer to use, and tied a tiny bow here and then ran another piece of it down below where it's hidden. You can't see the end. Turned out cool. Love the look. Love how the cord or thread just brings the eye to the embellishment. And next I'm going to slide the purple paper here on the left on top of the sheet on the right. Take one more piece, the map print, we'll move that to the right, and that should give us the base for pages 3 and 4, and that's on the previous page of your instructions. Obviously, we want to empty the contents of pocket 3 and 4 to match, and we're just clipping right along here, my friends. I love it. Okay, I'm going to load this into my hand so I can deal it out a little more easily, just like a deck of cards. If you're from Wisconsin, you probably know how to play cards because, you know, winter. Anyway, I'm going to take, let's begin with these two border strips. Now I should have a nesting strip. Let's find those purple, those wider purple pieces. I'm just going to place them here for now. And we want the enjoy moments at the top and the text-free version at the bottom. Thin piece of black will also create some separation. Changes of color here, adds a little. And then 3 of these mats will help us determine exactly how far these pieces need to be apart. Now make sure you're grabbing the skinnier ones. They're a set of 3 the same size, and they're designed to fit like a film strip across the page. Above this, you can add one more strip. And the Let the Good Times Roll is going to go into this spot. I also used the other fleur-de-lis element. Then on the right, if you just take the 2 green, the larger green mats, and they're going to have mates in the gold metallic. I like that, I like to bring in that second color. And bringing in some gold here to complement the left side along with the other strip nested onto it. Next to that, I know I'm going to cover up an area I like of the print, but then this is going to go here. And on the top, we'll nest with She's Some Magic, and on the bottom, we'll nest with the gold. There is a space in the middle. I'll address that in a moment. And then we're going to have the horizontal journaling prompt down over here beneath the gold. To finish this, a couple of tips for you. I used an element. Now, this is what I mean by these stickers. So this strip right here, once you peel that away, it's going to give you this. And I just use it to separate the 2 elements there. It's kind of a cool touch. Here, a double attachment through the 2 loops on the fleur-de-lis charm with my wax cord for my stash. So if you don't have that, you can just skip that. Or sometimes if I really don't want to work with it, with the loops, I just take a wire cutter and cut them off. Make sure you wear eye protection when you do that. All right, the facing page here, again, I added a cool strip. Now this sheet is not 12 inches long, but there were 2 strips, so I was able to marry them up to extend across the entire page. Up here, this has been glued on, and then 2 simple loops of that wide 7/8 inch black metallic ribbon placed behind the element and then attached with foam adhesive really gives you a nice eye-catching embellishment as well. Pick up the gold, slide to the right. Pick up the black, slide again. And now we're emptying the contents of pocket 1 and 2 already. So this is really efficient. I have customers and members alike who absolutely love this method and use it to help them keep up with their photos and their scrapbooking. Even if they're going back a number of years, this can really help you accomplish a lot. Okay, I think we'll begin with 2 of the smaller pieces of this yellow here, this gold. I keep wanting to call it yellow because it is, and next to it, we'll do 1 larger mat. So we're going to do sort of a mirror on this project. Now I've got a gold strip that should nest here. And let's go over to the top here. We're going to place this strip across the top and then take the gold wider strip, and that will nest with the skinnier purple. Really pretty. I love the foundation that lays. Now find your 2 smaller yellow golds and beneath it we'll put the other larger yellow, and next to it, pretty much close to the top here, I think it might have even been touching, got that piece going on. Now you have a purple and a purple that can nest with these cool framed images. Love how those turned out. A nested journaling prompt. I did a little trick where I made a slot again so I could slide this underneath that curled edge. And the c'est la vie. Okay, this is designed to fit right inside your little frame. What I ended up doing though is look at the back, and there's the inset. And if I just take a hair off of each end, it really had to be a hair. We didn't want to give you some crazy 16th inch measurement. If you want, you can take a hair off. Otherwise, you can just attach it like this. But mine has been shaved off a little bit so it fits down into the inset. Not a big job. Then you have 2 gold brads. Put 1 on each of these sides when you do attach it to the top part of your layout here. And that will be fabulous. Looking at the finished pages again, here is the C'est la vie attached with the gold brads. Down over here, a small portion of the dazzle stickers were added. You will have plenty of dazzle stickers to work with, so I encourage you to apply those wherever you wish. Across here, I've added them on this border strip. I think I did one other spot too. I might have missed telling you about it. Oh yes, let me grab that layout. This is page 4. You can see them running along the edge here as well. Really just a nice little addition. So I added and there was enough length too where I could buddy it up. I just overlapped one of the dots and continued on to make a continuous 12-inch border, even though the stickers are only I think they're 8 inches long. Here, this was attached with 2 loops, again with that wide black metallic ribbon, and attached with foam adhesive to give it a little bit of a pop. I think it's a really eye-catching page 1 of the collection, but I think this is probably my favorite element in the whole kit. Just such a beauty. That concludes the preview of the assembly here, the dry fitting process. So now for you, I recommend going through, gluing everything down with your favorite adhesive. I like to use my ATG gun, which we carry here at Club Scrap as well, and it really is most efficient, cost and time effective way to use adhesive. And then you can follow along with your maps to do those final touches and consult the video again if necessary. And I'll have the chapters of the video marked as well. So if you need to double check something on 5 and 6, you can scoot right over to 5 and 6, the 5 and 6 chapter, and learn more about it. If this is the first time making a page kit with me, I invite you to join us at Club Scrap as a member. You will always save on your kits. And we will do this together every month. Every page kit comes with a video here, so you never have to figure this all out on your own. I always do the math and the calculating for you so you can do the creative part and just have fun, get those pages done. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss my next project feature. I'll see you soon again.